A lotus, a plant whose fruit induces a dreamy forgetfulness and an unwillingness to leave. I've been racking my head lately trying to figure out why I love Mike White's The White Lotus so much, or why it feels so unique. Is it all the masterfully fleshed out characters, or the beautiful settings? Is it the general atmosphere of the show, that fable-like feeling induced in us as we observe some distant world made of money, sex, power, and materialism? Is it Cristobal Tapia de Veer's brilliant score, which is so oddly terrifying and yet so unbelievably catchy? Is it all those things above, more, or something else entirely? My sister said something really interesting the other day, and something that really stuck with me. She said that The White Lotus is the most interesting show where nothing seems to happen. Granted, she was talking about season 1 and said season 2 does feel more eventful, but the principle is more or less there. And to an extent, I understand what she means. The White Lotus isn't particularly story-driven in the traditional sense of the word. There isn't an excess of plot twists or grand events. In season 2, many of the stories we watch are, on surface level at least, not overly exciting. Couples and infidelity, generational misogyny, feeling stuck or confused about where you're meant to be going in life. These stories, among many others in the show, are not at all particularly unique and have been explored many times before in media, literature, or other art. But I've come to realize, and this has taken me a while, and this is in fact the third time I'm writing a White Lotus essay, as I couldn't quite put my finger on things, what makes The White Lotus so unique, and why my sister feels it's so interesting while little happens, is the show's brilliant use of perspective. Perspective is key, and allow me to illustrate. My favorite example of Mike White's use of perspective, and the example I see as most masterful, is in the Ethan, Harper, Cam, Daphne portion of the story. In the beginning of this particular plotline, Harper is the one who guides us through the story, as she is the one that we most relate to. Cam and Daphne, while not overtly unpleasant, live in a completely different world, and Ethan, while new to this world, is comfortable in it too. Harper is the one we relate to, the one thrown into this existence of excess, the one who feels not at place, as we would too, so naturally we look at the story through her point of view. Now, look at this moment in episode 6.
Hi. I was wondering, do you have room for 2 for a massage today? Oh. Okay. Yeah. Daphne Sullivan? 109.
Story-wise, this is when Harper decides to play a game of power and sex and control and manipulation, such that the world around her is made of, and such that Cam and Daphne live through, but such that she never wanted to play. She's exhausted feeling like Ethan has control over her. Whether he did or didn't do anything with Mia doesn't matter. The fact that he lied matters greatly, as honesty is the building block of their relationship, and now Ethan has taken that away from them. But more importantly, this moment is the point where we change perspective. As viewers, we've been tricked to believe that Harper was going to be our guide throughout. In most cases, she absolutely would be, since we've gotten used to exploring these couple dynamics mostly through her eyes. But once Harper decides to play this game, she becomes a part of the world too. We are not allowed to be part of this world, we are simply observers, so we can no longer look at life through Harper's perspective. Cristobal Tapia de Veer, the White Lotus's composer, has said that the score is made to make us feel as if we're watching these characters in a jungle or a zoo. It's made to make us feel like we're in observation mode. We are not allowed to exist in this world, only to watch it. When Harper finally decides to play a game, we must change perspective, and so we do. To Ethan. He's now the one who looks at things straight. He is the one who doesn't play any games, at least not actively. He is the one who wants the truth. When he doesn't play dumb, everyone dismisses him as if he's crazy not to partake in this lie they've all been creating. And in the end, we need closure, and Ethan does too. And so he confronts each character one by one, finally getting the truth out of all of them. All of Season 2 finale is through Ethan's perspective, as he is the only one left who we can relate to. Overall, this switch of perspective feels more personal to us as viewers, since our protagonist is someone who we understand. But, to bring it back full circle, it also keeps things interesting. Mystery is created through not knowing whether Harper slept with Cam. If we would have continued looking at the story through Harper's point of view, there would be no mystery, and so the story would feel more straightforward and probably more stale too. But Mickey, wait. Hasn't perspective always been a thing, especially in murder mysteries? Isn't that the absolute staple of them? Of course we would look at things through Portia and Tanya's point of view and not that of Quentin and Jack. That's exactly what's creating the genre and pushing the story forward. Otherwise there would be no mystery and vital twists and turns would not be surprising at all. Of course perspective has always been a narrative method. Shifting perspective in the end of the season, however, is unusual and one of the things that makes the White Lotus stand out. More importantly, some shows might change point of view to get us closer to the story, but the White Lotus changes point of view to keep us at a distance from the story. Another similar example is Lucia. In the beginning of the season, we look at things entirely through her eyes. We watch her navigate the world, she's new here and she's relatable too, as she doesn't belong here either. When Lucia begins to have secrets, however, when she begins to play a larger game, one more important than making a quick buck, a game of power and deceit such that could change her entire life, we are no longer looking at the world through her eyes. In fact, she becomes a mystery. She's left in the background almost. Albie is the one we follow now. Side note, Mike White is trying to develop a different theme here too, such of the male gaze and desire and how Albie himself feels more empowered by wanting to help Lucia, and how this blinds him to see the truth, but that's a whole other essay right there. For the purposes of this one, Lucia knows more than Albie, and so we change perspective to create more mystery in an otherwise somewhat straightforward story of deceit. I think this scene is very important.
I mean, we never really know what goes on in people's minds or what they do, right? You spend every second with somebody. There's still this part that's a mystery. You know? You don't have to know everything to love someone. A mystery. It's kind of sexy. I'm a mystery to myself, honestly. I surprise myself all the time. I think you just do whatever you have to do, not to feel like a victim of life.
What Daphne says here is that in marriage, knowledge is power, and you can never know everything, so the more you know, or the more you hide, the more power you have too. I think that's how the show is crafted throughout as well. The story is more than it lets on, and so it has power over us too. It doesn't allow us to exist in the world just to watch it. It's intentionally voyeuristic. It's not immersive, and that goes against most rules of storytelling, and that's what makes it really unique. As I've been thinking about and analyzing The White Lotus day after day and week after week, I kept thinking back to this one quote. One of my favorite shows is Atlanta, and one of the creators behind it once tweeted something that really stuck with me. To paraphrase, they said to their viewers, "You need to stop analyzing every bit of information. You ruining the vibe." And as I wrap this up, I'll keep that close to heart. The White Lotus is a vibe unlike any other, and overanalyzing it will kill its magic. After this, I'll just enjoy. Allow myself to only watch, to be an observer first and anything else after, as Mike White might want me to. Thank you so much for watching. This has been my second video essay and I'm having the best time doing these. Please do consider liking, subscribing, and commenting any thoughts below. Thank you so much and have a lovely day.